Fam, good morning. Good morning to you. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Could I get a roll tide inside the comment box? Thank you, fam. How you guys doing today? Get inside the comment box. Let me know how your Monday is going. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Today is Monday, September 16th. Your Alabama Crimson Tide is 3-0 on the season. I love you guys. I appreciate you for being here. As you know, we always start out the Monday with a lot of gratitude. And I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. And I just want to start out the show. Honestly, I'm in a lot of things have been going so well for me. And I just have a lot of gratitude for that. So, and I have a lot of gratitude for you. So sometimes it's really good just to be still and just appreciate the now. And for all the gifts and sometimes the things that you haven't received, like those are also blessings. So let's start off the show on a positive note. I appreciate you guys for being here today on the show. Here's the schedule lineup. This is going to be our long, big show where we take you all the way to Coach Kalen DeBoer at 12 p.m. We're going to talk about the top 25 rankings, the updated rankings. Alabama now number 4. We're going to talk about my top 10. All right. And I'm going to ask you, how good do you think this Texas football team is? Okay. Going to talk about the SEC standings. And I want to ask you, give me your take on this Georgia team. All right. We all watched that Georgia game. I did. Oh, they were playing in Lexington. Before we go into that, I just felt that Kentucky mismanaged the end of that game. More on that. All right, we're gonna do a deep dive into the Pro Football Focus grades, the snaps, and the stats. T and I sit here on Sundays and we put in work and we go through the stats and the grades diligently. All right, so a lot to go over. I want to take your calls and I want to play Monday morning quarterback with you, so you can call in, sound off on the show, and we'll take that right up until 11:30 a.m. where we have Nick Sheridan today, and then we have Coach Kane Wommack, and then Coach Kalen DeBoer. So how this week is going to work, and I'm sure you're trying to figure it out, what is this week going to look like, because Alabama has a bye week this week. So let me kind of provide a little bit of detail on how this week will work. So today you'll have, it'll basically be the same. You'll have Coach Kalen DeBoer and your offensive and defensive coordinator, okay? Alabama doesn't have practice on they didn't have practice yesterday. They don't have practice today. They don't have practice tomorrow. They don't have practice up until Thursday. But we're still going to be rolling, okay? Wednesday will be the Hey Coach show. That'll be on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. That'll be on Wednesday night. And then on Thursday, you'll get offensive coaches, defensive coaches. Friday, you'll get offensive coordinators or, coaches from the offense, defensive players. And this coming weekend, obviously, they don't have practice or a game because they are open this week. So that's kind of how everything is going. Let me know where you're watching from inside the chat. Right now, just take a minute and type in where you are watching the show from. All right? I want to see the city, the state. Let me know inside the comment box. You guys doing all right? You guys feeling good? Yeah, I'm feeling good. I appreciate it. Got the workout in this morning, feeling good. And Lance is like, let's not forget the AP is a joke. 100. Like, I don't like the top 25, but we're going to go over it because it's fun to talk about. And this is our long show. So let's start it out. All right. What we have is a quick recap of Alabama's victory over Wisconsin. Okay. A game that Alabama goes up. They take care of business in Madison, Wisconsin. 42-10. I saw a couple different analysts from college football that have big titles saying that Alabama going to Wisconsin was going to be tight. If you've watched, I told you, as soon as I started watching film on Wisconsin, I knew that they would win by multiple touchdowns. I predicted 42-7. It comes out 42-10, right? I appreciate it. Look at where everybody's watching from. You got Norman, Oklahoma, Dallas, Texas, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, got Boaz, Alabama, Dalton, Georgia, New York City, Florence, Alabama, Panama City, Anna Lucia, Alabama. Yeah, I appreciate it. I knew that Alabama was going to run away with it. And even if Tyler Van Dyke played in this game, it wouldn't have changed. The outcome would have been the same. Jalen Milroe goes off in this game. On3 just released their updated Heisman rankings. They have Jalen Milroe as number 2. Ruben's coming to us from Dothan, Alabama. I appreciate you. 12 of 17 passing, 196 yards, 3 touchdowns. Milroe, 14 rushes, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. The guy has 5 touchdowns in the game. I continued to tell everybody he's going to score 5 touchdowns in this game. Nelson coming to us from Scottsboro, Alabama. Appreciate it. Dan coming to us from Portland, Oregon. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Where you at, Anthony? What's going on, man? Garrett coming to us from Huntsville. Ryan Williams, freshman, 4 receptions, 78 yards, and a touchdown. LT Overton, yo, we're going to talk about him when we start talking about the grades and the snaps later on in the show. LT Overton, you talk about, yo, buy as much as you can, LT Overton. They were telling us in the preseason, we've seen it this year, yo, guys going off. You know who else is going off? Q-Rob. Quindarius Robinson. 3 games, 3 sacks. In fact, I'll give you a little teaser. He's the highest graded player on the team. Q-Rob. Dude's a man. Dude's been here for a long time. Never complained. Waited his turn. And prayers up to him, man, as he continues to move past the, what he's dealing with losing his father a couple weeks ago. Man, it's just prayers go out to that kid. For Wisconsin on the other side, backup quarterback comes in, 13 of 26, 125 yards and 1 touchdown. Ches Malusi, 11 rushes for 66 yards. Pauling had 9 receptions and 83 yards. And Lowry had 5 tackles and a sack. Milroe accounts for 5 tackles in that game. All right, my players of the game following Wisconsin. Did I miss anybody? Let me know. I got Jalen Milroe, 275 total yards, 5 touchdowns. That was easy. Case, what's up, man? Coming to us from Tampa. LT Overton, 6 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. Ryan Williams. Jam Miller, my goodness. And then Keon Sabb, right? Keon Sabb, 6 tackles and 2 pass breakups. I know you guys all want to figure out the injury update. So do I. From the sites you read, I mean, there's great team reporters out there. There's other YouTube channels that are doing an amazing job. Please support them all. All those guys doing an amazing job covering Alabama football. Big sites, small site, whatever. Like, support them. All those guys doing an amazing job. So you have Quay Russo, who we're going to be watching for some sort of update. Maybe Coach Kalen DeBoer will update us at 12 p.m. I don't know the severity of it at this point in time. He said it's a lowered leg. He said it's actually similar to what Richard Young has. So Malachi is okay. We know that for sure. There's been multiple sites that have been reported that information, which is great news. We don't really have an update on Quay or Richard Young at this point in time. And I think with Cole Adams, who's not even listed on here, he's probably week to week. This open week comes at a prime time. Now, Georgia also has an open week following their 1-point victory over Kentucky. But I don't know. Now, I've talked about this before. And again, I don't know the severity of Quay's injury, but that position has a lot of depth. Q-Rob, Keanu, Yanzi Pierre had a lot of playing time. And I thought Yanze looked nice in the opportunities that he had, right? That's why you have to be ready when you are called on to get things going. Soli, what's up, man? Good morning to you. I appreciate you. Ben, what's going on? I see you inside the comment box. Hacker Music, good morning to you. I continue to list Jeremiah Alexander on here and Jalen Hell because there's a lot of people that might not keep up with the day-to-day Alabama football news. They might be more casual and they might come in here and they're like, well, where's Jalen Hell? Or where's Jeremiah Alexander? Like, these are highly coveted prospects. These are big-time players. They're out right now. Jalen Hell has a leg injury, suffered in spring. We'll keep you posted as that moves forward. Let's look at the top 25 scoreboard. You know, I didn't realize how many teams were open. Like, if you were wondering, like, where all the big games were at, I mean, 7 of the top 25 teams were open this past week. Here, let's look at the scoreboard real quick. Texas now the new number 1 in college football. And this is going off the AP. 56-7 over Texas San Antonio. We'll talk more about Texas in just a second. Texas 13, Kentucky 12. That was a game that everybody watched. I'm sure everybody inside the comment box watched that game. I don't know about Bray Hubbard, Max. I didn't hear if he was injured or not. If he is, we'll get an update on that later on today. Alabama now to number 4, 42-10 over Wisconsin. Ole Miss beats up on Wake Forest 40-6. Tennessee 71, Kent State 0, Missouri 27, Boston College 21. Miami 62, Ball State 0, Oregon 49, Oregon State 14. Penn State open, USC open. Utah beat Utah State 38-21. Kansas State, they were open as well. Oklahoma State 45, Tulsa 10, Oklahoma 34, Tulane 19, LSU 36. South Carolina in a game they had to come back. Notre Dame 66, Purdue 7, Michigan 28, Arkansas State 8, Louisville, Iowa State, and Clemson all open this past weekend. Nebraska 34, Northern Iowa 3, Northern Illinois open. Illinois open. That's weird that Northern Illinois is ranked ahead of them. And then Texas A&M 33, Florida 20. All right. 6 out of the top 10 teams are from the SEC. 2 out of 10 from the Big Ten. 1 out of 10 from the ACC. And the Big 12 does not have any teams inside the top 10. I want to ask you, for those of you that watch college football, that have your pulse on college football. And by the way, if you're just jumping in, I appreciate you guys being here. This is our long show. We go all the way to 12 to take you to Coach Kalen DeBoer's press conference. We will carry that right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. At 11:30, we'll actually have the offensive coordinator, Nick Sheridan, and the defensive coordinator. We'll have that on this show. So I appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. We just hit 108,000 subscribers, which is like unbelievable. I looked up on ChatGPT, Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube, and it was like Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Someone sent it to me, and then I looked it up. 75 million all-time views on the channel. It was like extraordinary. For those of you that watch Texas, what is your take on the Longhorns? Now, as I get to here's my top 10, by the way. This is my top 10. I'll go full monitor on this. And look, you can post your top 5. I think the top 5, really probably, I don't know, maybe list your top 3 right now. Undefeated. List your top 3 teams. I think it'd probably be all the same, I would imagine. This is how my top 10 looks like right now. At this point in time, this is how my top 10 looks like. Texas. All right, now Quinn avoids a serious injury. That's per ESPN. And orangebloods.com, which is part of the rivals.com network, says that he's week to week with a abdominal strain. Now, for Texas, they have a backup that everybody's certainly curious about. In Arch Manning. He comes in, 223 yards passing, 53 yards rushing on the ground. He looked really good in my opinion. I watched Texas this season beat up on Michigan. What stood out for me about Texas was clearly the play of the quarterback, but the effectiveness of how the quarterback is able to get his weapons of football. Texas has weapons. Steve Sarkisian is it. We have a lot of respect for Steve Sarkisian. He was a great offensive coordinator here. He was a great head coach for one of, the one time where Coach Saban had to sub out. I like Coach Sarkisian's journey as a person. I love rebound stories of people, specifically, males that have gone through a lot of, and continue to fight through it and better yourself, because that's real life, right? Sarkisian, he's done a good job. And he's had a very public life when you're in this. But, Isaiah Bond, from what I understand, I haven't looked up the stats. I don't have the stats in front of me, but they certainly utilize him. In the game that I watched against Michigan, they got the ball to him. And they have other weapons as well. Now, they have suffered some early season injuries at the running back position. But no, Texas has playmakers for sure. We knew that. We're not shocked by this. Ohio State, they're my number 2 team right now. I feel that their running backs, as we figured, are elite. But their schedule, their schedule is light. For example, their next couple of games include, and they're already undefeated, and they were open this past weekend, but they have Marshall, Michigan State, Iowa, then Oregon. It's I would say out of these top 10 teams, Ohio State has the most favorable schedule, and then probably Ole Miss. But Ohio State, at least right now, they're my number 2 team. I don't know. I thought about putting Alabama right there after their performance against Wisconsin. Alabama, I mean, look at what Milroe has done in 3 games. 746 yards, 14 touchdowns. They are open this week, and then they host Georgia. And, the way that Texas is playing, I'm curious to see, even if Alabama does beat Georgia, and I get it, it doesn't matter at this point in time, but to see kind of where the pollsters have those 2 teams. In my opinion, I feel they're probably on a collision course at some point in time to meet again, which Alabama fans would absolutely love to get a hold of Texas. Javion, what's up, man? Good morning. I see you inside the comment box. Alabama played a really good game against Wisconsin. With that said, Wisconsin's is not a top 25 team. They didn't have a good quarterback, but it was a challenging game to win on the road, and you have to play at the right psychological disposition, and you got better from the game against South Florida, right? They improved from that game. Penalties, cleaned it up. Offensive line play, finally they're healthy. They eliminated the turnovers. All those 3 categories helped them be better. Now, Georgia, let me ask you about Georgia. They struggled with Kentucky. It was 13-12. I feel that if Kentucky didn't mismanage the end of that game, they probably kick a field goal to beat Georgia. Kentucky, look, Brock Vandagriff going against his former team, he played as best as he could. Kentucky played as best as they could. Stoops didn't handle the game correctly at the end. I would imagine that Georgia just absolutely comes with it for this Alabama game. Was I completely overwhelmed with the talent on Georgia? Not really. They have a lineman who also went out. I don't know the status on him. But Alabama will get their best. And this is absolutely a top 5 team. I believe that they've won their last 33 out of 34 games. Their last loss coming to Alabama in the SEC title game. A game that really everybody forgets about besides Alabama fans. I feel even national analysts, they don't even remember that game. It's the weirdest thing. And Georgia fans don't remember that game at all. All right, let me ask you this. Jarvis, help me out on this. What's the early line on this Alabama versus Georgia game? I know in the preseason, I think Georgia was favored by 4.5. Andre, what's up, right? You agree with me, man. I was like, what the hell are you doing? I thought, honestly, I was like, okay, Kentucky, you have the ball, continue to run the football, get in field goal position. You already hit a 52-yard field goal, line up, lights out, you knock off Georgia. They started doing some strange stuff. Man, that was weird. I don't know who played worse, Kentucky or the Detroit Lions. Man, Detroit had 2 opportunities, the NFL, yesterday, Jared Goff. And the only reason I know this is because he's my fantasy quarterback. 4th quarter, dude, they could have won the game twice. So Jarvis is saying at this current point in time that Georgia is still a 4.5-point favorite. I'm not encouraging anybody to gamble. You guys gamble at your own money. You guys are adults. 4.5, I take that. Look, Georgia is not. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something, and this could be receipts. I don't care. Georgia's not the favorite in this game. Alabama is the favorite in this game against Georgia. All right. Kalen DeBoer continues to prove people wrong. You can't recruit. He's done that. Can't work the transfer portal. He did that. I mean, dude, Kalen DeBoer has continued to prove everybody wrong, being the nicest guy and being a great football coach. By the way, I liked a lot of the stuff that he does, like giving back to guys, like just a nice human. In Georgia, look, they're a really good team. I just think the favorite in this game, if you really want to know the truth, is Alabama. Home field, place is going to be absolutely screaming. Is there anybody watching that's going to come to this game? Georgia, clear. All these teams, I would imagine, are beatable. SEC is different. Playing on the road is very challenging. 13-12, that was surprising to me. Georgia probably should have lost that game, but Georgia will play absolutely outstanding against Alabama. I expect it to be a tight game. Ole Miss, I mean, this team has been a buzzsaw. And to be honest, I don't think Alabama has really played anybody just like Ole Miss. I think the road game makes Alabama's schedule more challenging than Ole Miss. But Jackson Dart, I mean, they're literally a buzzsaw right now. They're doing whatever they want. Lane Kiffin, wanted to run up the score on Wake Forest because Wake Forest canceled for next season. They're a buzzsaw. They're number 5. They're going to be a challenge for anybody. We knew this. Tennessee, kind of the same thing, right? Haven't really played anybody. Quarterbacks playing at a very high level. Their next games include Oklahoma, which I think will be that's an interesting game, absolutely. Arkansas, Florida, then Alabama. I would imagine Tennessee's undefeated by the time Alabama travels up to Neyland Stadium. All right, we get to our first team outside of the SEC. I mean, look at this. The SEC, can you imagine that, whoever plays number 1 and number 2 for the SEC title game? Man, I would imagine that there's going to be plenty of teams making the playoffs from the SEC. Now, as I said earlier, On3 just updated their Heisman favorites, and it looks like they have Cam Ward and then Jalen Milroe. Now, in 3 games for Miami, they're clearly the ACC favorite. They got South Florida up next, which should be an absolutely entertaining game. And I would imagine that we'll hear from Miami fans if they're able to, beat up on South Florida, which I wouldn't imagine that happens. South Florida's, we saw what they have. Alex Gollash will probably have something in store. They punch above their weight 100%. Cam is playing absolutely amazing. He has 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. And then I don't know. This is where it gets a little wishy-washy for my top 10. I don't really know what to do here. We've gone back and forth before. I would imagine you guys don't agree with this, but I have USC at 8. They played 2 teams. They beat LSU and they beat Utah State. I think if they, and it should say Cam Ward, not Cam Howard. I would imagine that if USC, look at their next schedule, though. Look at the remaining games. They got, or the next up, they got Michigan, which is definitely entertaining. They got Wisconsin, Minnesota, Penn State, Maryland. All those are interesting to me. Someone says, B. Wood saying, if Alex Gollash isn't in Gainesville by then. Yeah, Billy Napier, his seat's high. It's like melting. I have USC. I think if they play defense, this is a good team. I don't know if they challenge Ohio State, but I love their quarterback's good. And Bentley boy, I get you, man. What's up, man? I appreciate you being here. I don't know. Look, I get it. I knew I was going to catch flack for this. I like the quarterback, okay? They survived South Carolina on the road. They got UCLA, South Alabama, then Ole Miss. Nussmeier, 895 yards, 10 touchdowns through 3 games. But I don't know. You think Missouri beats LSU? I don't think so. Yeah, and then I started looking kind of the teams behind them, right? Like, how many of these teams beat LSU? Does Oklahoma State? Their running back's good, but they've had an early season struggle. Oklahoma, we don't really know too much about them. They just won a game by 4 points last week. I don't know. Damn, Kevlar's been a fan funder for 22 months. Much love to the undefeated and Kyle. We all appreciate you, brother, and how hard you work to give us a place to discuss Bama football. Been supporting the channel for a long time. Absolutely, bro. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. So who do you guys have as like your 9 and 10 type teams? I get it. It doesn't matter, but I don't. It always gets fuzzy for me. The teams I would never put there, Penn State, I would never put Notre Dame. Those are the teams that I don't buy. And I told you a million times before the season that I would never buy a team like Florida State. Never. Never in my wildest dreams. Yo, spend two minutes on Florida State. I can't even imagine what is happening right now in Tallahassee. Like, can you imagine waking up and your quarterback is DJU? You just lost to Memphis. And last season, you were what, 13-0? They haven't won a game since the early December. So I texted my guy from War Chant, the Florida State site. During Mike Norvell's press conference at the end, the fire alarm went off. And it was saying like, fire, fire, fire. Yo, that was real. That really happened. Did you see that? That was like one of the most hilarious clips that I've ever seen. Yeah, thank you. I would never buy Oregon either. Never. That's why I don't even put them in here. And I think for the players that transferred to Florida State, they were sold something that wasn't real. Those players needed other landing spots as well. I wish that, I don't know. Do we wish that Earl Little was still here? I don't know. Out of all the guys that left, who knows, man? But man, that place is just, and I don't even know how many games they're going to win. That fire alarm was crazy, Road War. That's what I'm saying, man. I cannot even believe that happened. All right. Here's a look at the SEC overall. Now, remember, fam, this year, it's just the number 1 versus number 2 that play in the SEC title. It's almost like each of those teams is an automatic team to get into the playoffs. The winner gets a bye. The loser of that game gets in. And I would imagine you look at the next 2 for sure. Andre, who's the best team in Florida? So you got Miami and then what? South Florida? Man, if South Florida beats Miami, we might go live. But here's a look at the SEC. Now, teams, most of the teams have just played one game thus far. That's why you have Georgia, up at the number 1 spot. But these rankings, we'll continue to keep track of them. Kevlar, I appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so much. 1999, man. Love you. I appreciate you, man. Being a fan funder for 22 months. That's what's up, man. Thank you so much. So you got LSU survived, Texas A&M, South Carolina is 1-1. Alabama currently, they haven't played an SEC game. Same thing with Ole Miss, Missouri, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas. This league, this league is, man, this league is challenging. It's not the same as the others. Whoever wins the SEC title this year, oh my goodness, man, there's no more East and West. It's just straight up. This is wild. Man, Bake, you're out in the Bay, man. That's what's up. Like Mobile Bay, I always get it twisted. Or like California's Bay, like the Bay Area. Too short. Rapping Forte. All right. Before we get to snap counts, and then after snap counts, I'm going to take you guys' calls. Different ways to support Bama football on YouTube. You can become a super chat inside the show, become a fan funder. It's $2.99 to support the show. Also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts now. A simple thumbs up goes a tremendous, long way. So thank you so much. Think about a thumbs up is kind of like a 25-yard play in a football game, right? Helps out. Become a sponsor. If you own a business, something like that. Oh, you're from Mobile Bay. I got you, LA. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. So what I did, and this is like this is pretty labor intensive, what I'm about to show you. But I like to do this because, I function off stats, and I love, kind of the analytics. I feel they tell us so much about the game, right? So we're going to look at position by position, and keep your eye out, for anything that you might also like to see on these graphics. I spent a tremendous amount of time. I had T come over last night, and we went through every single position together. And this is a weekly feature that I do, and I usually have it every single Monday as we play Monday morning quarterback. And by the way, if you're a fan funder, I just released some basic, kind of chalk talk that I released for fan funder. Who saw that video, by the way? Basically go over Ryan Williams' touchdown. I go over Josh Cueva's touchdown. I look at Jalen Milroe on one of his touchdowns using an RPO. And then I look at Bama's secondary being beat by Wisconsin. Jonesy, what's up? Appreciate you being here. Jeremiah saying UCF is the best team in Florida. I know, right? That's wild. Florida and Florida State are they're in dead last. All right, so when we look at the Alabama quarterback room, this is how it looks. So we'll start with Jalen Milroe, and we'll work our way down, and we'll do the same thing with Ty, and the same thing with Dylan, and Austin hasn't played yet. Jalen Milroe, in 156 snaps, has 590 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 156 rushing yards, and 6 rushing touchdowns. He has 14 total touchdowns and 746 total yards. His overall grade right now greatly improved from last week when it was like 62.3 to now 76.7. Now, as I continue to explain on these Pro Football Focus grades, you get into this. The 70s isn't like in school, like a C. 70s are more like B's. You get into the 80s on these Pro Football Focus, that's like elite NFL grades. You get into the 90s, you're talking like, whoa, right? Few players get into the 90s. You start going into like the 80s, man. Yo, Max, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we spend a lot of time on this. And we put the numbers on, we put the graduation year on, and then some different icons. Like, for example, the C represents that Jalen Milroe is a captain, and on Austin Mack, that represents that he's a transfer in. Ty Simpson, he's played in 32 snaps this season. He has 96 passing yards, 26 rushing yards with a rushing touchdown, and his grade is 67.7. Now, it's also important to note this. When you're looking at the grades, the more snaps, the more accuracy with the overall grade. So, for example, like it is impressive to me out of 156 snaps that Jalen has that high of a grade. Like that's tough to deal with, okay? And Max, we'll get to the lineman in just a second. Appreciate it, man. And before we move on, I'll showcase kind of these type of graphics, and I have a question for you on Ty Simpson. But here's Jalen Milroe, and again, I spend a lot of time on the detail of these stats. I really want to, and the graphics. One of the things that I really wanted to elevate on my end, I felt that I wasn't doing enough from an aesthetic look from the graphics. So I really wanted to challenge myself to kind of bring those graphics to life. So I appreciate you guys' feedback. This is Jalen Milroe this season. 7 of 9, 200 yards against Western Kentucky, 3 touchdowns, 10 of 79 rushing with 2 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns in that game. 16 of 26 against South Florida, 194 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Now, he was sacked, so he only has 2 yards in that game. Remember, in college football, when you're sacked, it goes against your rushing yards. So he had 2 touchdowns, so 4 touchdowns in that game. And against Wisconsin, 12 of 17, 196, 3 touchdowns, 1475 rushing, 2 touchdowns, right? So in total, they're at the bottom, 746 total yards of offense with 14 touchdowns. That's consistent football, right? And I think Case, that's it, man. Consistent. And clearly, as I said at the bottom of the screen, can you imagine being a defensive coordinator trying to prepare for this guy? What a nightmare. I mean, absolutely nightmare. He scored 5 touchdowns in 2 different games. I think that he's the only Alabama quarterback to do that, and he's done it twice, right? Hey, Carol, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of detail goes into it, so I appreciate you noticing that. Thank you so much. Okay, so I have to ask you this as well, right? And I'm not trying to start some quarterback war. We've had some opportunities to see the backup quarterback, who is clearly Ty Simpson. So in the small sample sizes that you have seen him, what are your thoughts about Ty? He was 5 of 9, 66 yards, with the longest of 20 against Western Kentucky. He didn't play against South Florida because he was still, icing from the time that he beat them last year. Just kidding. Against Wisconsin, he was 4 of 5 for 30 yards with the longest of 9. And so, look, 9 of 14 passing, 96 yards. He's rushed for a touchdown. He was sacked 1 time. You know what stood out to me when I saw Ty against Wisconsin come in? I like and we always talk about, the short intermediate passes. He did that, right? Those were the design plays that he was specifically going to run, and he targeted and he connected with Caleb Odom, who's another freshman wide receiver, twice. It was good. Yeah, and he does have a quick release, right? So the times that we've seen him, 9 of 14, 96 yards, do your thing, Ty. I like it. And we can't forget that he has a lot of athleticism as well. The guy can run. He certainly can. Fromm says, Josh Pate said something about Milroe to fans, stop looking for the intermediate pass. That's not who he is. And that's, of course, a great point from Pate, right? Like, his deep ball and his running ability, like, that's what he brings to the table. And they're each so dangerous. You can't deal with his running, and you can't deal with the deep ball. We're going to look at the wide receivers here coming up. We're going kind of line by line. Here's the running back room. This is a lot of data to take in, okay? So you can screenshot this if you want, or you can rewind this track. Jam Miller on the left. And so far it's been pretty light work for Jam Miller. 29 carries, 265 yards, 3 touchdowns, 88 yards per game. Per carry, check this out, 9.1. His longest of 56. He's had 71 total snaps, and his grade is 78.3. Again, that grade is very, very impressive. Now, Justice Haynes, 19 attempts, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns, 55 yards per game, per carry, 8.7. You're telling me that Alabama's top 2 running backs have an average of 9.1 and 8.7? And look at the long runs by Alabama. 85 yards, 56, 39. Jalen Milroe himself has a run for over 40 yards. The big playability, man. He's had 76 snaps, actually more than Jam Miller. What was interesting was last game against Wisconsin, he only had 2 carries. Now, he caught a couple passes, but that seems strange to me, right? That he only had 2 carries. Now, Richard Young got in, and then he got injured. Coach Kalen DeBoer, who's coming up at 12 p.m., will have, I don't know if he'll have a new update, but I'm sure reporters will ask him about an update on Alabama's running back, who's a redshirt freshman, who has 9 attempts this year, 24 yards, 12 per game, 2.7 per carry. And then Daniel Hill gets in. He's a freshman, 13 attempts this season, 37 yards. He scored a touchdown, 25 snaps. So you've seen all these running backs, right? I wonder kind of with the running backs, because when you look at this graphic right here, you see that Jam Miller, he's absolutely loading. That's what I titled this graphic. 5 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown, longest of 39. Against South Florida, 15 carries. And that was a job where, I think my prediction is we see kind of more of this 15 carry, 140 performance down the road. So why aren't we seeing it so much now? Well, maybe they're keeping him, fresh for this back-end gauntlet type season, right? Because, even Coach Fickle said after the game that he was surprised how many times Milroe ran the football. Were you surprised? I was, actually. There's a lot of design quarterback runs for Jalen Milroe. Then again, you got to get your best player of the football. Justice Haynes, he's so dangerous too. This is like, look, Ohio State's running backs are doing their thing, but so are these guys. Absolutely. And we'll keep you posted on Richard Young. But look at Chan Miller. 29 carries on the season, 265 with 3 touchdowns, averaging per carry 9.1. This guy, man. And the thing about it is once he gets going, he's really fast. And he's got so much power. Carol is saying, Kyle, consider this. Running back and Jalen just now getting developed an offensive line just in time for true competition. Great point. You look at how the offensive line played. They played their best football because they finally had an offensive line to work with, right? I'm going to show the grades in just a second, but Caden Proctor had a grade of over 70, which is the highest graded offensive lineman thus far this season. Here's the Alabama tight end room. Now, this group doesn't get a lot of passes thrown their way. We'll kind of work on the detail, but they do play a lot of snaps, right? C.J. Dupree has 103 snaps, has 2 receptions for 20 yards. Robbie Oots has 1 for 3 yards, 51 snaps. You see a lot of these guys, you see C.J. Dupree and Robbie in a lot of the times, usually on the same side, actually. And you've seen some 12 personnel set with the 2 tight ends on opposite sides, but you do get a lot of 2 tight end sets, actually, for Alabama. Danny Lewis has played 37 snaps, and then Josh Cuevas. I think he's a playmaker. And if you saw some film breakdown that I uploaded for fan funders, if you're a fan funder, I remember just $2.99 to support the product. We appreciate you guys doing that. Kind of showcase how Josh Cuevas and why he was so open. Because he caught it. That was a nice catch, right? Just right here. Boom. Nobody else could get it. He was wide open. Jay Lindsey, who's a freshman, he's played in 9 snaps. And then Ty Lockwood, who's a redshirt freshman, has played in, 11 snaps. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. This is something. So what we're doing right now is we're doing a deep dive on all of the positions. Once I'm done with that, I'll take your guys' calls, and we'll play Monday morning quarterback up to 11:30 when we have Nick Sheridan on, and then Nick Sheridan goes into Kane Wommack, and then at 12 p.m. you got Coach Kalen DeBoer. So that's how the show flows on Mondays. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for supporting the product. Okay, again, a lot of data to dive into with the wide receivers, okay? Start on the left with Jeremy Bernard. 8 receptions, 125 yards, 1 touchdown, which he caught against Wisconsin, an average of 41.6, and I think that's an average per game. And then snaps 142, and then his overall grade right now is 71.8, which I tell you, like, you get into the 70s are really, really good. You get into the 80s, you're playing some outstanding football. Ryan Williams, 10 receptions, 285 yards, 4 touchdowns, average per game is 95, snaps 108, and his grade is 76.7. For a freshman to have that sort of a grade, what he's doing right now is just is mind-blowing. Now, these 2 next wide receivers, really 3, I think in time when they get opportunities, they'll come through, but right now, low production. And it's because they're not going to these guys, plain and simple, right? Me too, Hacker Music, man. I did not have that on my bingo card, man. After 3 games, Kendrick Law with 1 reception. Now, with that said, Kendrick Law did make some really good blocks. I mean, he's out there, blocking his tail off. He lit some dude up in this last game. I'm sure you saw it. Kobe Prentice has 5 receptions in 3 games. Per game average is 25.6. He's played in 56 snaps, and he has a grade of 83.5. He also has a touchdown, which came in week 2. Kendrick Law has a touchdown. He just has 1 reception for 22 yards. Average per game, 7.3. 67 snaps and a grade of 62.3. Emmanuel Henderson, 2 receptions. Average per game, 6.6. And then Caleb Odom. Caleb Odom's playing this year. What's up, Beer Can and Baddies? See you inside the comment box. He has recorded 5 receptions this year. And then Rico Scott, Rico Scott has played 25 snaps. And then we saw our first opportunities from Bubba Hampton recording 5 snaps in place of Cole Adams, who I think is like week to week. Maybe we'll get an update, but I think he's week to week with a arm injury. I thought that injury was going to be worse, to be honest. That's why I like where this open week is. It seems like there's been a lot of injuries. I don't know if it's because we have more access and we've done a good job like following kind of the day-to-day, I don't know, bruises and injuries. It just seems like Alabama's had a lot of injuries, and thank goodness, knock on wood, these guys have been able to recover really quickly, right? I mean, Daniel Hill was in a sling. Jaden Roberts had surgery. Caden Proctor gets injured before the game, right? Cole Adams, his arm. Quay, I guess his lower leg. Richard Young, lower leg. Blake Morton, what's up, man? I appreciate you. Yeah, this hat is the most comfortable hat. I think probably one of the most comfortable ones that I have. But yeah, these rope hats. I'm really into these rope hats right now. I'll show you my hat collection at some point in time. I have, a ton. All right. So that's the wide receivers. I guess the most interesting thing is clearly Ryan Williams numbers and then Kendrick Law. What are you going to do? Is not give Ryan Williams a football? Look at this. How could you not? I asked during my live show on Saturday when we were watching the game, it's it's time to start asking, is this one of the best wide receivers in all of college football? Not just on the team, in all of college football. 2 receptions for 139 yards in the first game. Are you serious? His first catch was a touchdown? Longest at 84. 4 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown against South Florida. And against Wisconsin, 4 receptions for 78 yards and a touchdown as well. Longest at 47. This is crazy. 10 receptions for 286 yards with 4 touchdowns? Man. And I always and yesterday I asked, I was like, did you have him catching for over 500 yards this season? I didn't. I knew he was going to play and get reps and be utilized, but I didn't see him. Ryan getting paid to be the headline. Pay him whatever. This dude's producing, huh? Man, so no flex. So what people are saying is that Ryan Williams went to Jeff Allen and was like, put me on the same path as Devontae Smith. That's what's up, man. I know these stats are crazy. Hey, Kim is saying Law and Prentice need more snaps. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the balance is when you start to look to production, right? The players are probably feeling the same way, right? We're talking about it. How do you distribute the football, right? That's something, that you do need to think of because I guarantee you if teams haven't already slid into their DMs, that will be something that you have to face, all right? Ben Allen, that's a great question. Nobody has missed Isaiah Bond. And you know what? When we started working our way to the defense, no one has missed Caleb Downs, right? Like, you don't even think about it. Like, and that's kind of Isaiah Bond, you would have thought coming back this season would have been like one of the main. You don't even think about him. He probably would have even been getting reps. And Keon Sabb's been playing outstanding. All right. Here's the Alabama offensive line. And this is overall. So in Caden Proctor's first snaps on the left, he played in 46 snaps against Wisconsin. He had a grade of 72.8. That's probably the highest that he's graded during his career at Alabama, right? He played a ton last year as a true freshman. That's great. Now we want to see more snaps. That'll give us a better idea of his overall grade. Like, for example, Tyler Booker, 156 snaps, a grade of 58.5. Parker Brailsford, 154.62. The overall grade is slowly climbing, but still lower than I want to see. Jaden Roberts, 147, 65.8. Formby's played in 122. He has a grade of 50. And Elijah Pritchett has played in 80. He has a grade of 52.9. So collectively, the grades are getting a little bit better. But, I mean, use this as a rat poison or whatever offensive line. You haven't played your best game yet. All right? We want to continue to see it, and I'm sure we will. And I really like the Alabama offensive line coach. Like, I think he's done a great job. Ben, I think that's a great question, too, talking about Ohio, like Caleb Downs. I don't know what he's done. Man, Keon Savage, I like that. Hakeem's like, BS, I talk about those. I think about those guys. Yo, Caleb, but Hakeem, think about it, man. Keon Sav's come in and done a great job. And Malachi, I mean, he's been right there. I'll show you the grades here in a second when we continue to move to the defense right now. Here's the Alabama defensive line. All right, so as I talk about the defensive line, will you answer me this, Undefeated? How do you feel that Alabama's defensive line has fared against the opposition's run? Because there's been 2 drives this season that have, they've been interesting. Like, South Florida ran the football again and again with their quarterback. And they just allowed a 17-play drive by Wisconsin running up the middle. And ironically, that same play ended with a touchdown pass. I don't know. I'm going to have to do my rewatch and watch that drive. Here's the Alabama defensive line. Spotlight Tim Keenan over here with the 80 grade. 9 tackles. Yo, he has a grade of 80. 9 tackles this year for the big man. 1 sack, 1 quarterback hurry, and 108 snaps, and a grade of 80.4. Tim Smith, 9 tackles, 2 quarterback hurries, played pretty much the same snaps, 71.1. Jaheim Otis played in 54 snaps and has a grade of 55.9. James Smith, this guy he's playing really well. And I think he has 2 balls that he batted down as well. 2 quarterback hurries. Damon Payne, we saw him play a good amount last game. And then Edric Hill, the big man, he almost had a pick 6. Man, he knew he caught it. All right. All right, here's the Bandit position. So Bandit, and I'll explain this again, a defensive lineman under 300 pounds that has, a lot of versatility. Look at the grade of LT Overton. Look at those. Look at that. 85.7 in 98 snaps. That's outstanding. Max Tooney, I'm surprised with his stats as well. But LT Overton, 11 tackles, 1 sack. That was the hardest hit of the entire year thus far. And 4 quarterback hurries. You look at the transfers and how they have fared. I mean, this guy was a great addition. Man, clutch. I was curious to see like how I didn't anticipate him being this good. He's way better than I thought. And I don't know why Keeley don't play. Maybe it's because of the two guys to the left of him on this graphic. I don't know. He's only played in 3 snaps this year. Playing at the new position, which is Bandit. Right? Because originally he was a wolf, but then he put on like 35 pounds to get here at the Bandit position. Maybe it'll just take him some time. I don't know. Jordan Renard has played in 24 snaps, and he has 3 tackles. But LT Overton, man, he probably got the whole game ball of the team. I mean, that performance against Wisconsin was flawless. All right, here's that wolf position. We'll keep you posted on anything that we hear today from Quay. Coach Kalen DeBoer's press conference coming up at 12 p.m. After I'm done talking about the defense, I'm going to open up the call-in line. We can play Monday morning quarterback going into 11:30 as Nick Sheridan will be here. So get ready to call in here in a little while. I got the wolf, I got inside backers, and the secondary to talk about. I'll get through it. So this is our first 90 grade so far. Put it in blue at the left. He's only played in 66 snaps, and we're talking about Q-Rob. 90.3. Yo, 90.3. He has 3 sacks, which leads the team. 10 tackles. I mean, that's elite. That's elite. So think about this, okay? Tim Keenan, graded at 80. LT Overton, Lieutenant Overton, which I like, graded at 85. Q-Rob graded at 90.3. So this position right here has so much talent and so much depth. Keanu is, I mean, he's really good. I mean, sometimes you can look at the grades. I mean, the higher the snaps, the better grade we feel. But I know what he has. And same thing with Yanzi. Yanzi's coming along, man. Do I say woof? So, you know what? Somebody has said that I say that strange. It is wolf, right? Wolf. Wolf. All right. So, but I think we can all agree on the fact that this position has so much talent at the wolf position. And Noah Carter, you saw his highlight tape. But I was happy to see Yanzi finally get some meaningful snaps. I think he had 24 snaps against Wisconsin. Spotlighting Q. Do I have? Oh yeah, we'll update Yanzi right there to 42. My bad. Good catch. Q-Rob, 1 tackle, 1 sack, 7 tackles, 1 sack, and 2 tackles and 1 sack and a forced fumble. 10 tackles, 6 solo, 3 sacks. Right. So I wanted to give him a little bit of notoriety because I don't think we've been talking about him too much, but it seems like he's always there. He's always in the right position, making plays. He's a long, lanky type of a linebacker that I think is honestly still a little bit underrated. Hey, Blake in here with the super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. Hope LT keeps it up versus Georgia. Starting to chant, Beck, watch your neck. I like that. And you know College Game Day is going to be here. You know what's going to be interesting is to have Coach Saban here for College Game Day, right? That's going to be really cool. I can't wait to see that. You know he's going to pick Alabama, right? How cool for Coach Saban. Literally, he can just drive from his house to campus. I can't wait to see it. All right, let's move on to the – oh, look at this. This is wild. Look at the grades of Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell. Man. So look, what we're starting to see is while the offense has a big strike capabilities, you're starting to see really high grades from defensive players. Tim Keenan, over 80. LT Overton, 85. Q-Rob, 90. These 2 inside linebackers, this is the best tandem on defense in college football, I promise you. Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell. Look at this. 21 tackles for Deontay Lawson, 28 for Jahad Campbell. 2 quarterback hurries for Deontay Lawson. And I would imagine at some point in time, these guys start sending more pressure towards the quarterback. But look at their grades, most importantly. 81.0 for Deontay Lawson, 88.5 for Jahad Campbell. But the number right on top, these guys are playing. 188 snaps, 175 snaps. Man, they're on the field. Justin Jefferson has 12 tackles. 10 of those came in the last game against South Florida in 20 snaps. So Justin Jefferson in 20 snaps had 10 tackles. And then he had to miss the first half of this last game. I appreciate the feedback regarding the graphics. Yeah, we put a lot into it in terms of we want to make sure that you guys have an aesthetically eye-pleasing, product to look at. And we're going to update Yanzi, his number. I have it written down. So if you see something, say something, and I'll get it worked on. Justin Okoronkwo, 3 tackles and 13 snaps. And then Caden Jones, 23 snaps and 5 tackles. And Jeremiah Alexander yet to play this season. So one more time, what I did was I combined these two. This is Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell together. 18 combined tackles, 19 of those are solos, right? That in the first game, 16 combined tackles and 11 solos in the second game, 15 combined Saturday and 8 solos and 49 combined tackles this season. Yo, these guys are absolutely phenomenal. Love them each, man. Just doing an amazing job. Okay, now we look at the corners. And look, this is opinion, but I think it is fact, right? The corners haven't been tested this year. They haven't. They've played who they've played. You faced what? Western Kentucky played 2 quarterbacks, 1 against South Florida, and then I guess, so they faced, what is that? 5 quarterbacks so far? Here's how they have fared thus far against the quarterbacks, okay? 158 snaps. Maybe we're not talking too much about Damani Jackson. One thing that I might add to this is targets, how many times they've each been targeted. And while there's no interceptions through this group, they haven't given up a lot of big plays, knock on wood. Xavier Brown, how about 145 snaps for him as just a true freshman? Jalen Mbakwe, he's seen plenty of time. And Deshaun Jones, he played a good amount of football against Wisconsin on Saturday. And then Zay Minty, he's had opportunities early on. But really, those 4 are your corners. And this is another group that I really, really like. I mean, look at the grades. You almost have 80s right here between Malachi and Keon Sabb in a lot of snaps. That is amazing. That's why that's why you're not thinking about the safety who left. Look at Malachi, 16 tackles, 1 forced fumble, which was last week or this past game against Wisconsin, 193 snaps, a grade of 77 playing safety. Man. And then Keon Sabb, wow. Look at the transfers that came in that are playing. Keon Sabb, one of them, playing at a very high level. 2 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. He should have had an interception in this last game. A grade of 75.1. King Mack has 30 snaps. He's another transfer. And then Bray Hubbard. Someone said that Bray Hubbard was injured. I didn't see that. But if that floats out, I'll certainly update it. But I didn't see that. And then Devontae Smith, he's played a ton. 128 snaps. And then Red Morgan also playing at that Husky position. He has 73 snaps. All right, just about to hit the phone lines in just 2 seconds. In fact, I'll open it up right now, but let me get through the special teams real quick. So you have Graham Nicholson, who missed his first career field goal. Yes, Red Morgan is a freshman. He's a true freshman. He missed a 46-yarder against Wisconsin. I was surprised by that. Someone asked me if he was nervous. I would imagine so, but I mean, you're the Lou Groza Award winner. I mean, look, as intimidating as probably Camp Randall was, it's nothing going to compared to like Neyland, Death Valley, on the road to Oklahoma, against Auburn. So need to absolutely tighten it up. PATs have been great, 19 of 19. Yo, this man right here, James Burnup, absolute weapon. I mean, this guy, I believe that James Burnup might be the best punter. I would have to kind of look through the data, but he might be the best punter in college football. He has 14 punts for 664 yards, an average of 47.3, and a longest of 64, which was against Wisconsin. That was a booming punt. Kendrick Law, you know what? There's only been one kick return for Alabama this year. Wild, right? And that was returned one time for 52 yards. And ironically, it was also fumbled. Okay. Have to ask you. So yes or no inside the comment box. Do you like Ryan Williams at punt returner? Like, should Kalen DeBoer keep him there? Yes or no? I'm going to type yes. I put my best players on the field. I want them on the field. I want them to yo, I appreciate it, Marcus. Thank you, man. Yo, he when he returned that punt, I was like, oh man, so we're getting a lot of no's. So to keep him healthy, I just like him. I think, okay, how about this? Damn, a lot of no's. I'm the only one going heavy with Ryan Williams as punt returner. What I saw from him in that punt return, man, that dude has it. Nobody wants him to get hurt. I get it. How about this? Okay, you guys say no. That's cool. I appreciate it. I didn't expect to see that. How about in big games or in big situations? See what I'm saying? Maybe the game is tight against a team down the road and, you know, you need a big spurt energy. Maybe him. But you know who's not too far behind in terms of punt returns is actually has a better average than Ryan Williams is Jalen Mbakwe. Right? I mean, he's not yet a starter. I think Jalen Mbakwe might be faster than Ryan Williams. I don't know. When I saw Ryan Williams with the ball in his hand, returning punts, I was like, oh, man, this is it. All right, you guys ready to play some Monday morning quarterback? All right, let's open up the phone lines. 205-850-1994. So when you call in, let's hit on a couple points, and then let's move on. At 11:30, I got Nick Sheridan and Kane Wommack. So we'll play a little bit of Monday morning quarterback right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Let's take our first call. We got Chris from New Jersey waiting online. Hey, I appreciate you batting leadoff, Chris. What's up, man? Appreciate you being here. Go ahead, man.
Kyle, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, man.
Well, listen, it's unfortunate that I have to call with this conversation, but and I would have called on Saturday, but let me explain. So I had to go to a memorial service at halftime. I got home. I put the second half on, although I knew the outcome, and then I also put the watch party on. And as I'm looking at the comments in the box and seeing more than one person write, Jalen Milroe is not a quarterback, my blood was boiling, Kyle, boiling. So let's just address this and let's put this to rest right now, okay? That statement is, I don't want to insult anybody, but that statement is just flat out wrong. So, Milroe is not a quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback. And let's talk about this, Kyle, real fast. I'll be fast. My rant will be fast, but it'll be right. So undefeated, Milroe, all the naysayers, the Milroe naysayers in the here's another shirt, Kyle, is what's the job of a quarterback? Lead the team, protect the football, take what the defense is giving you, and ultimately, hopefully, lead to victory. Okay? What has Milroe done? All of those things. And how did they open up the game? Short passes. Oh, Milroe can't make short passes. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, he can. Can he make midfield passes. Wait and see. Watch what he does against Georgia. I'm sick of so all these guys that are saying, okay, let's have a debate. Let's have a debate. Let's have a quick debate about just the Wisconsin game, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Why stop it with this Milroe? You people are embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so the throw to Ryan Williams is as good a throw as you could make.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now let's go a little further. The throw to Jeremy Bernard was an even better throw.
Yep.
Why? He threw that when he wasn't even out of his break yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He go look at that throw right to the corner of the end zone. That's an NFL throw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just tiresome. It's tiresome. By the way, okay, let's not go by Chris of the Undefeated. Let's go by the panel. Urban Meyer, a two-time national champion at two different schools, says Milroe is in the Heisman conversation. He said he was raving about him. Matt Leinart won a national championship and actually has a Heisman, right? Milroe is in the high, and do you notice that you want to talk X's and O's? Let's go with the X's and O's. Urban Meyer said Milroe is getting to the line of scrimmage and he's changing the protection. Mm-hmm. That makes him a great quarterback. Mm-hmm. You know who changes the protection? Tom Brady, the guy from the Chiefs, Mahomes. Mm-hmm. That's what makes people great quarterbacks. So writing that he's not a quarterback is silly. Stop it. It was a wonderful win. It's a beautiful Monday here. We have a bye. We're going to get everybody healthy. Mm-hmm. By the way, you're right. Georgia is the underdog coming. They're freaking out. They're freaking out. You Georgia people in here, you're going to get a beat down. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a beat down. And you know who? It's going to be short passes from Milroe and then after that, then he's going to have some more bombs. So, I mean, I'm sorry to have this rant on a Monday. Forgive me, Kyle, but writing that Milroe is not a quarterback is just unacceptable. And you know what I also was thinking when I was cooling down a little bit. I was thinking, I feel bad for the people that are writing this about Milroe. You're looking at like the negatives, and you're missing just amazing performance after amazing performance. Mm. You want me to call? I don't want to call up here every week and gloat, but I will. And when he's in New York getting the Heisman and I have a tear in my eye, I'll be, sad for you and embarrassed for you at the same time that you didn't watch a great Alabama quarterback. Listen, where's your debate? X's and O's. He does the job of a quarterback. He leads the team. He's a leader. He doesn't give up the football. He gets how many victories did we have? Mm. There's my rant, Kyle. Forgive me, Kyle. But I'm happy we're still number 4. I think Georgia is definitely coming in here worried. I think they're exposed. I think DeBoer is. We're going to be having this conversation after the Georgia game, Kyle. We're going to be like, yes, look what just happened. Look at how great this team is. So, all right, Kyle, listen, that's my rant. Thanks for taking the call. I've been worked up on this all morning. I get up at like 5 a.m, Kyle. I've been worked up for hours. So, listen, keep up the great work. By the way, Kyle, graphics, outstanding.
Oh, I appreciate it, man.
Graphics.
Yeah, good stuff, Chris.
Keep it up. And all the pro Milroes in the chat. Roll Tide.
All right, take it easy. All right, that was Chris from New Jersey calling in on Jalen Milroe's performance. By the way, kind of to catapult on that, we'll take our next caller. I think it's Adam from Georgia is next. Jalen Milroe just named the SEC Offensive Player of the Week. So following a 5-touchdown performance against Wisconsin, Jalen Milroe earns a highly coveted award and much deserved after a 5-touchdown performance. All right, 773, let's take it. Hey, welcome to the show. Who am I on line with and where are you calling in from?
Oh, Mike from Chicago. How's it going, Kyle?
Oh, Mike, what's up, man? I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Monday, September 16th, man. Welcome to the show and take it away.
Hey, I love the transition from Saban DeBoer. He's doing a great job. I just think we got to get K-Law. We got to get K-Law and E-Man some targets. I mean, you can't lose them. I think K-Law can be just as explosive as Ryan. He just hasn't been targeted. I know you got to get Ryan the ball, but I think you got to get some jet sweeps, some screens. Something has to be done to get K-Law involved into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Has to.
Yeah.
And then my last comment is, go ahead.
I've asked that a bunch of times, and what's interesting so far with the offense is that they've had Kendrick Law on the field, because it's not like he's not playing. They've just had him in, a couple different formations where he is utilized as a downfield blocker, which he's doing a great job at. But one target for 22 yards and a touchdown. I didn't have that, going into this open week. I would assume that changes. Maybe it doesn't. It's something that certainly does stand out when you look at the stat box. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, as I said, I think if you want him to keep blocking, you want him to stay involved, you have to get him targets. Mm-hmm. That means you have to call plays for him. So that's on Nick Sheridan. I mean, not saying he's doing a bad job. I'm hoping, just like we're seeing it, I'm hoping he's seeing it. Mm-hmm. And then number two, I saw an article on the Bama Hammer where they were talking about the guys who transferred. Like not block is on the third team. Yeah, and it's like Sean Murphy's not playing. Earl Little is not playing. These guys would have gotten a lot of time if they would have stayed. Yeah. I just wonder what they're thinking now. I mean, you used to think Sean Murphy and Earl Little on an 0-3 FSU team. Mm-hmm. And we begged Earl Little to try to stay. I heard, we met with him multiple times to try to keep him to stay. It's just, that transfer portal, grass is always not green on the other side. But, hey, I'm loving this. If we win or lose against Georgia, I still think that we're going to have a great season, go to the playoffs. But I'm just loving what's going on right now with the transition. I was kind of skeptical about DeBoer, but I'm just loving the transition.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate the call from Chicago, man. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Mike calling in from Chicago. We go to a 903. Let's get it. Hey, thanks for calling. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Okay. This is Mitchell calling from Tyler, Texas.
All right, Mitchell, what's up, man? Thanks for calling in from Texas, man. Welcome to the show, man. Come with it. Go ahead.
Just a couple things, man. Okay, who has the best tandem running back in college football?
I mean, if it's not Ohio State, it's certainly Alabama. I mean, with Jalen Milroe and Justice Haynes.
Okay, their job is to run the ball. So my question is, why are we consistently putting our backs in the block for Milroe to run the ball? Mm-hmm. You have the best backs in college football. Let them run the ball. Mm-hmm. Stop putting them. It's just, I'm just going to take one guy to come cut Milroe's off, then you ain't going to have a quarterback. Mm-hmm. You have Top I think, is a better thrower of the ball. And I think he surveys the field a little bit better than Milroe's. Milroe's, if that one guy is not open, he's running. Mm. And that shows Iman and those other co-apprentices, that's why they don't get the touches, because if that one guy is not open, he's running the ball. He got to move his eyes. When you're playing better teams, he's going to have to get everybody involved. Because Ryan Williams, everybody knows about him now. They know about him. When he play a team like Georgia, or you have to face Texas, someone says, well, we don't miss Isaiah Bond. Oh, you're going to miss him when you're playing against Texas in the playoffs, you're going to miss him. I guarantee you that. So we need to run the ball more with running back, not just with Milroe. Mm-hmm. That's all I got.
All right, Mitchell, I appreciate you calling in, man. I'll answer on the other line. Thanks for calling in, Mitchell. All right, Mitchell calling in from Texas. It is interesting when you look to the distribution of the football with the running backs, as we showed earlier on the show, the fact that these running backs have been getting limited carries. For example, like to Mitchell's point, Justice Haynes only has 2 carries in this game against Wisconsin. I don't think that anything was wrong with him in terms of like an injury. You also had Richard Young come in, and you had Daniel Hill following that after Richard Young was hurt. So, yeah, I was, even Coach Fickle, as I said earlier on the show, was surprised that Jalen Milroe ran the football as many times as he did. On one side of the coin, get the football to your best player, right? That's Jalen Milroe every single time, whether he's running, throwing. On the other side, it's a gauntlet of a season. Hand the ball off to the running backs, get them in the rotation. feed them more? I don't know. It is something worth thinking about, right? Is like, how come we're not seeing more production from the running backs? I don't know. I mean, it's Alabama's still scoring, 50 points a game? So we can go back and forth on that. 601, you're up next. Hey, welcome to the show. Who am I online with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kai, it's Jay Pisco.
Jay, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show on this fine Monday, man. We're playing Monday morning quarterback. Go ahead, man. Come with it.
You know, I'm kind of up in the air. And I love Milroe. I don't have anything better to say on Milroe. He did an amazing job when he had time. And I hope, for our sake, that they would still be in vanilla as far as play calling. And I'm curious about that. And I do agree with Mitchell on one thing. I do feel like we need to let our running backs get more in the rhythm as far as running goes. Because Josh Payne said it too. He said if they take away your deep threat, what are we going to do after that? After they take away deep threat? And I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, let me ask you, if you're trying to stop Alabama's offense, I mean, what's your game plan, right? You're going to take away the deep ball, then, you're going to run. So I think that right now this offense is dynamic in the fact that they have so many big-time playmakers. They're hard to prepare for. Milroe he's been tough to stop. Whether you want to, criticize and you want some intermediate passes or this or that. I mean, the facts are it's 746 total yards with 14 touchdowns. I mean, it's too hard to stop for college football. For a lot of the defenses, the majority aren't going to have an answer to stop him. What else you got, Jay?
I agree. I just got one more thing. I ain't got much. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to pick Georgia to win. And I hope that's the case, in my opinion. I hope that's the case. Because I love when we come out and prove people wrong, just like we did last year, just like we did in 2021. That's all I got to say, man. Hey, have a good day and roll tide.
All right. Roll tide, man. Take it easy. All right. My boy Jay calling in, man. Appreciate the call. We have another 601 in the queue. Hey, what's up? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
What's going on, Kyle?
What's up, man? Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Xavier Grundle, calling from Mississippi.
Xavier, what's up, man? I hope you're off to a good Monday, man. Welcome on to the show. Xavier, take it away, bro.
See, I've been watching Alabama football for a good little minute. I remember when Alabama used to have Terry Grant before Nick Saban came in. He was a true freshman. He led. I think he had like 1,000-some rushing yards. So he was from Mississippi. Also came from a 2A school. So that's when I started falling in love with Alabama because he was one of my favorite players down in Mississippi. I see about Milroe. A lot of people always complain about Milroe. If he pass the ball, if he run the ball, it's always a complaint. It's like Alabama fans, and it's like Alabama been great for so long. Like they just, I don't know because it's the style of a quarterback is new. You know what I'm saying? He's just not no prototypical type quarterback. He run the ball. He very athletic. He throw the deep pass. He is a winner. At the end of the day, he's a winner. So it's like, I don't know. They always complain about him. If he run the ball too much. If the coaches don't let him run the ball enough, we should let him run the ball a lot. It just I guess Alabama. I guess we so spoiled because we win. We dominate so much, and the time changing, man. Like I say, I'm gonna roll with Milroe till the wheels fall off. He went all the way to play Michigan. We lost by 7 points. Honestly, I feel like we could have went to the championship and could have beat Washington in the championship. You know, and I'm working with Milroe, and I think we're going. And I'm gonna be real with you. I think we're gonna beat Georgia by 42-17.
Xavier dropping the big score early on, man. We're a couple days away from the score prediction, but I love it, man. Feeling good, and I think you hit on some
42.
great. I think you hit on some great points too. Xavier calling in from Mississippi. You know, sometimes it's just like celebrate who you got, man, because 5 touchdowns on the road. Three passing, 2 rushing, man. So there was a guy, I forget his name, but he was doing a reaction video to Jalen Milroe it was just Alabama versus Wisconsin. It was on YouTube, and he was like, man, he couldn't believe watching Milroe, right? Like what he was doing on the field, and he was like, man, how does it feel, Alabama? How does it feel to have Milroe as your quarterback? He's like, you know who my quarterback is?
Exactly.
It's DJU. He was like,
exactly. And Bama don't understand. Bama fans, they don't understand this right now. Till Milroe leave and he gone, they will understand. They don't understand that they have a one in a kind talent right now at the quarterback. Like. And Kirby Smart, he know this. See, it's different when you play football and you understand football and you just sit on the couch and you just watch football. See, I play football also, and I understand the game. Milroe is one of the hardest quarterbacks to prepare for.
Hell yeah!
Because he can hit you over top, or he can bust it open for 80-yard touchdown. So. I mean, they gonna keep complaining about him. They gonna say, "Oh, they intermediate throws and all like that." Man, so what? We winning. Let's keep rolling.
Yeah, love it, man. Thanks for the call, Xavier.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. Call again. No, you guys saw this, right? It looks like a couple other viewers saw this video. Oh, Marcus saw it, man. Yeah, so it's a Florida State fan, and he's reacting to this game, and he's like, he stops and he's like, how does it feel? How does it feel, Alabama fans, to just have him as your quarterback? He's like, my quarterback is DJU, and I started dying. It was crazy, man. Woo. Appreciate it. Coming up at 11:30, I got Nick Sheridan, Kane Wommack, and then after that, you got Coach Kalen DeBoer at 12 p.m. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here today on the show. Also available on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts now. Just type in Bama Football on YouTube. It should come up there. On Facebook, we have I didn't even know this. I started posting on Facebook, and the Facebook channel blew up. So it's just Facebook, Bama Football on YouTube, just like topical questions. It's free. You used to have to pay for a lot of these recruiting sites, which I'm still, people do. And they do a really good job. But the Facebook channel is super active. We have TikTok as well. So different ways that you can interact with, me or other different Alabama football fans. Someone's like, take a break. No, man, we go heavy. I love it. I love doing this. This is what I do for a livelihood. Works out great in terms of, managing my livelihood and, taking care of my kids, most importantly. So no, it's also a huge responsibility running a channel like this. My goodness. I mean, there's so many subscribers, and every single thing that you say, has receipts, repercussions. So, I love it. I think I'm at the right age in my life and the right point to be able to run a channel of this size. I'm going to take one more call, and then we'll go to we'll wait for Nick Sheridan coming up at 11:30. So 256, let's get into it. Let's get to the points, and then I might have to cut you off if the press conference starts. But 256, let's do it. Hey, good morning. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle. This is Billy Harris. I am calling from East Bogo, Alabama.
All right. Good. Happy Monday. Let's jump right into it. I have Coach Kane Wommack and Nick Sheridan coming up. So why don't you hit on a couple points, and next time when we have more time, I'll give you more time on the air. But go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Jalen Milroe is doing a phenomenal job considering the fact that, he's a young man and he is built for it. I really do think that he's built for it. And as the season goes on, of course, we're going to get better. My point is, he's doing a phenomenal job. How does a defensive coordinator get ready for that? It's kind of what I'm thinking is if I was a defensive coordinator, that's a nightmare. I do appreciate that, you let me talk online with you. So I'm a first-time caller. And, I love this and hit some very interesting points, and I'll continue to watch the program as well.
Yeah, and when we have our call-in segments, we usually do it Monday, sometimes Thursday and Friday, and then, of course, for the post-game. So when we have more time, feel free to call in, and we can, chit-chat, have some dialogue. But I appreciate you bringing that up about Jalen Milroe, and when I have more time, we'll go back to you. But I appreciate you calling in. Where did you say you were calling in from again?
I'm calling from East Tobago, Alabama.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in, and we'll give you more time next time. But thanks for calling in today and your comments on Milroe. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Have a great day.
All right. You too, sir. All right. You know what's interesting? We have Coach Kane, Wommack, and Nick Sheridan. Should be, I don't know, within the next few minutes. The thing about this, regardless of where you're at with Jalen Milroe, and I think, most everybody's, in heavy supports of him. But one of the things that I think we should also be appreciative of is how he conducts himself as a person and an ambassador of the brand. Because I'm big in mentorship and how people conduct themselves, specifically as young men. And sometimes I don't feel the same way about Shedeur Sanders. Some of the things that he's been doing, conducting himself, I think he could do a better job in that aspect. So we're going to go to the press conference right now. So stand by, please. And one moment. One moment. Let me get all this set up.
We're going to do the same routine. Coach, go ahead and make an opening statement. We'll take questions.
Yeah, excited about how the guys played this past week. Looking forward to the opportunity to improve this week. Certainly we'll spend some time early on the week just self-scouting and looking for areas to really target to improve. And then obviously as we move towards the week, we'll focus on the upcoming opponent. So important week for us to improve and get better. With that, I'll let you guys fire away.
Let's start with Charlie on the right here.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Just want to ask about Kendrick Law. I know he doesn't have a ton of touches so far, but just how important is what he does without the ball to the offense?
I thought he played fantastic in the game. He was very physical on the perimeter. And, he's somebody that's important to our offense and that we know that, the impact that he'll have with the ball and without the ball will continue to be important for us, as the season progresses because we think he's an excellent football player and he's good with the ball in his hands. What I think is special about him, in addition to that, is just he's exceptional without the ball, which is really the making of a great football player, which we think he is.
Jump over to the left side of Tony.
What have you seen from the offensive line in terms of protection, and how encouraged are you, especially with the introduction of Caden Proctor in this game?
I thought the protection was outstanding in the game this past week for sure. And I think that certainly showed. I think when you look at the pocket and the space that Jalen had to throw the football, I thought it was excellent, and I thought they dominated the line of scrimmage in the run game as well. I thought our guys up front played really well in the game. We can play better. There were still moments where the execution can improve, the fundamentals, the technique, but as far as to this point, they certainly played their best in the game this past Saturday.
Down the left side, go Joe.
Coach, in the middle of the game, y'all went touchdowns on 3 out of the 4 drives, but the drive that you went 3 and out, it was after the 18 plays from Wisconsin. How difficult was that? What is the approach after sitting on the sidelines for so long watching another offense work down the field, and what's your mindset right there?
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of what the previous drive was by the opponent, our job is to get first downs to score points. And so, certainly the 3 and outs, we're not happy about those and, looking to improve in that area for sure. I think the drive you're describing, I think we had a penalty, maybe, a false start early in the drive. And so, those are opportunities for us to kind of, just regain momentum and execute and, play good football. And, we don't want those, those moments to happen. And our guys know that. I think it goes back to execution. Taking advantage of opportunities, in those couple of drives, we were in positions on third down to execute and convert. And there was other moments in the game, obviously, that we did. And so, that's the continued message to the guys, is just the consistency, the high level of execution that we have shown at times. We're looking to try to do that, down in and down out. And, that'll be certainly emphasized moving forward, as it has been to this point.
Front row, right side, Nick.
Yeah, when the offensive line is protecting better, is blocking better, how does that change things for you as an offensive coordinator, as a play caller, what you can do?
Well, I think it always starts up front. I think being able to control the line of scrimmage certainly allows you to do more things. You stay in better down and distance situations. And so, to say that that's not important, I think it certainly is. And our ability to block, I think is the foundation of every good offense. It's, a fundamental that it's very hard to be productive on offense if you don't block well. And that's not just, the offensive line. It involves everybody, the tight ends, the perimeter, the running backs. You want to definitely be a unit that, is a very well blocking team and a blocking unit. And, it opens up run game, pass game, inside, outside, you name it. The key is that you block well. And so it starts up front. Obviously, it's the most guys. They're the closest to the ball. But the other positions got to do their part too. And I thought that certainly showed. You mentioned K-Law. I thought K-Law blocked phenomenally on the perimeter. He did an outstanding job. And there were other guys as well. I thought E-Man had some really great blocks on the perimeter. I thought our running backs in blitz pickup did a real nice job. And so the tight ends, I felt did a real nice job in the C and D gap, multiple guys. And so I think all of us, to have the type of offense that we feel like we're capable of having, we have to be really good fundamentally and good blocking unit.
Go to the far left, Colin.
Obviously, he's been drinking through kind of a fire hose over the fall camp, 3 games. But Ryan Williams, how have you seen him, I guess, improve and kind of adjust to the levels of college football over his 3 games? And where have you seen the most improvement on the field from him?
Just probably knowledge, just understanding of scheme, ability to play multiple positions, and that'll continue to grow. That's always a challenge for a young player, particularly on the perimeter. Is, you try to teach them the offense through the lens of one position just to try to get their feet underneath them. And then as they continue to understand big picture concepts, then you can move them around and they can play multiple positions. But I would say from the very beginning, Ryan's been an incredibly committed football player, one that wants to know, cares about knowing his job and where to line up and what's the split and what's the route detail. In all areas. And I think Coach Shep and the rest of the coaches in that room have done a great job with him. But certainly for all players, they deserve the most credit. Ryan for being committed and wanting to learn and being able to play multiple positions in different spots, inside, outside, et cetera. It's not the easiest thing to do for a young player, and he's done a nice job with that to this point.
Hey, Coach, what is your approach to a bye week and keeping your players engaged?
Well, I think we focus on the things that we need to improve on, and I think there's plenty, and so that's what, that's going to show up each and every week where you have good moments and then things that you got to improve on. And so I don't think, this group is one that's focused, that's hungry, that cares a whole bunch, that loves football. And so I'm not concerned about the engagement of the group. I would expect them to be fully, we use the word intentional, in a week like this, is whether it's your rest, your recovery, your preparation, fundamentals, whatever it may be. Each player might be a little bit different. Each player, can best maximize this week a little bit different. And so I think the challenge to them is to be intentional with that, with whatever area that they need to improve on.
Back left, Steven.
Coach, could you talk about just the comfort level that Jeremy Bernard brings to Jalen Milroe and the whole wide receiver room, especially on the touchdown late in the first half?
Yeah, I think, that play, probably the best word to describe it would be trust. I think Jerm ran a great route. It's sometimes on those type of plays, it's very easy to get hung up on the top of the route, and he did a great job of running through contact and separating at the end, and then having the awareness of where he was located on the field to make the catch, get his feet in bounds, and then certainly on Jalen's side of it, to trust him to be at a spot and throw with anticipation to that. And so that's a credit to both of those guys, and certainly specifically with Jerm, just super consistent, steady. Very talented, very good football player, but his demeanor, his disposition, his preparation, he's the same guy every day, and he always shows up ready to work. And, we're real excited about Jerm and thankful that he's here.
Go back to the middle of the room. Kirk, you have a question?
Coach, in a game where you get to play a lot of players, can you talk about some backups that did their job?
I thought, the young group that went in there, I thought there was bright moments by, several guys. Caleb Odom had some catches. Rico Scott had some catches. I thought the offensive line did a nice job. Daniel Hill running the ball. And so I thought, collectively they were able to get some first downs. They weren't able to finish the drive like we would like. But and I thought Ty Simpson was in control. That's the second time Ty's been in the game. And I thought in both cases he's had poise. Ty had to go in earlier in the game when Jalen's helmet popped off, and we ran the ball, but Ty was ready to go. And so I think every experience for a young player, whether it's their first year, second year, third year, every time you get to play, in the game, I think is helpful. And I thought those guys, by and large, it wasn't perfect. There's still areas to improve on, but they knew what they were doing. I thought they communicated at a high level, and they were able to execute some base plays for us.
Go to the left side here, Alex.
Hey, I'm just curious how you think about design quarterback runs while acknowledging the importance of keeping your starting quarterback healthy over a long season.
Well, I think there's the balance there, right? Is when do you utilize them? Where's the ball potentially being ran? I typically, just the location of the run, and what's the risk reward and what's the situation. Quarterbacks, you have the ball in your hand, you get hit hard in the pocket too, and so you're mindful of that. You certainly want the healthier players to that's important to you, and specifically at the quarterback position. And you also recognize it's a contact sport, and that's part of the game. And so we factor that in certainly when we're designing the game plan and when to call certain plays and how that plays out in the game. Sometimes it's week to week, sometimes it's based on your opponent. But I think what we're always trying to do offensively is utilize our players, put them in the best position to be successful. And so that's what we're focused on.
Katie?
Y'all had talked before the season about the right tackle battle was going to go into the season, and then obviously you had some health issues to start the year. We saw in the third quarter of this game, Wilkin and Gino come in for a few series with the first team. What was kind of the reasoning behind that? Was that to get them some opportunities with the first team, or fresh legs, or what?
I think because they earned it, and I think that's really our approach. Is we're going to play the players that deserve to play and that have earned it throughout the week of preparation, and not just just day to day, but also what they've done, over the course of spring practice and fall camp. And I think both of those guys, Gino and Wilkin, have earned the opportunity to play in the game because of what they've done in practice. And so that'll continue to be the case moving forward, whether it's at the offensive line position, the tight ends, running backs, receivers. We're going to continue to give guys opportunities to play in the game that have earned it in practice. And that's the message to them. And so practice is important. How you perform and play on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday matters, and it gives coaches confidence to put you in the game. And we want to play as many players as we can because of the duration of the season, and we talk about the health of players and the depth that is required to get through the season that we're looking at. And so those guys earned it, and they deserved an opportunity to play in the game.
Let's finish up with Travion, left side.
Hey, Coach. The SEC pointed out that Jalen Milroe was tied for the most TDs by SEC player in the first 3 games over the last 20 seasons, and that's just a testament to his versatility in both through the air and through the ground. Can you just talk about how he's been able just to be decisive in both areas as a passer and as a runner through the first 3 games, and what you're looking for him just to grow through as the season progresses, going into the bye week and going into conference play as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think, certainly a credit to Jalen, but I also would credit the players around him that have done a nice job, and I know he would do the same. All those opportunities for him to have production, there's been other players involved in those plays that have done a nice job. And certainly, Jalen in those moments, finding a way to get in the end zone, finding the open receiver, throwing the ball accurately, those have been certainly quality plays by him. And the best thing about Jalen is he's always trying to improve, and our job as coaches is to identify those things. He comes in every Sunday with a list of things that he's already seen, and so that communication between, our staff and him, to help him improve and point out areas where he did a nice job, where there's improvement from one week to the next, and also pointing out the areas where we still got to grow and get better. I told him this 2 days ago. That's going to be the case for him the rest of his football playing career. You're always trying to improve. You're always identifying areas where you need to work on. Each opponent presents different challenges, different certain types of schemes or coverages or pressures or whatever it may be. And so that's the fun part. That's what's exciting, is that you play in a sport where you've never arrived, and there's always an opportunity to improve and get better. And he loves that part of playing football, and specifically playing quarterback, and that's why he's fun to coach.
All right, thank you.
Okay, roll Tide.
All right, Coach Wommack,
Hey, gang.
with his opening statement, and we'll have questions.
Okay. Looking back on last week, I thought we played a fairly complementary style of football. One of the things that I've been pleased with as a team is that we're creating takeaways. When we create takeaways on defense, we're turning around and turning those into scores, and I think that is really tremendous. It means that we can take advantage of the momentum that takeaways give you as a defense. I think our players are continuing to focus on creating takeaways as a defense. I thought we took a huge step forward this past week. It showed up in some way. We were able to create 2 forced fumbles in the game, but we had what we call 13, really takeaway opportunities or takeaway attempts, where we got hands on the ball, whether it was a pass breakup, whether it was breaking on a potential interception that we just didn't come up with, or getting to the quarterback in the backfield and having an opportunity to create, sacks and sack calls, fumbles. We had 4 forced fumbles in the game. Just the ball only bounced our way twice. You had twice, the ball went directly to one of their guys. But what I encouraged our players is we harp on those things during the week, and it showed up on game day that they are attempting to take the ball away from people. And so very proud of our guys in that regard. I thought from a situational standpoint on third down, the numbers look like we were dominant. I didn't think we were as dominant as we were capable of. From a third down standpoint, I think we gave too many yards to them that allowed them to feel like they put them in from an analytic standpoint, what we call go scenarios, where they were able to go for it on fourth down, and they were able to convert 3 of those 4 fourth down attempts, and we had some mistakes from a fundamental standpoint or from a schematic standpoint. We did not execute well enough on those fourth down scenarios. Obviously got one stop early, which was really good. But I thought that we missed some opportunities as a third down defense, and it's something that we've got to work to improve on. We are certainly aggressive on the outside and coverage right now. I think our guys are doing a really good job. In the last 2 games, we've had over 100 snaps of man coverage. And on the outside, in man coverage, our corners have only given up 2 catches for 24 yards. So we're really pleased by the consistency that we're seeing from some of those young players on the outside. I think that we've been fairly sticky in coverage. I think we're denying some of the easy access throws, and yet at the same time, we've been able to limit some of the explosive plays downfield. Last week, we were able to create 12 as a team or as an offense, and we gave up 4 overall. So we won the explosive play battle, and we won the turnover margin, which was certainly pleased with that. I still think there's some things that we're not doing well enough in the run game right now. I think we've got to continue to work in cleaning up some of our fundamentals and techniques. I also think schematically, when we call some of our pressures, we have not executed those things well enough up front. And so those are things that we've got to continue to work and preach. And this bye week is really critical to get some of those things honed in, because we need to continue to move in a direction to where we can be a dominant run-stopping defense. And I do not think we are there yet as a team. So plenty of work to do, lot of things to correct, a lot of young guys' experiences that they will learn from as we carry into SEC play. So need to take advantage of this bye week.
Coach, how do you lean into a bye week, and what's your approach to the players with SEC play around the corner?
Yeah. You know, I think each bye week, right, it can be self-serving in its own way depending on what your team needs. You know, I think bye weeks early on in the season can be maybe handled a little bit different than bye weeks later on in the season. For us, we still have a number of young players. We're still very early in the season. There's a lot of things fundamentally that we have to get better at. There's things from a schematic standpoint that we've got to become more consistent when some of our blitz techniques and blitz patterns, we've got to become more consistent in those things. So we'll get a ton of banked reps off of some of those things that we want to do moving into SEC play. You know, fortunately for us, you know, we have probably shown a small volume of defense over the first 3 weeks here, and that's a good thing. You know, we carried a lot more defense going into each of those 3 games, and once we realized that we didn't have to show certain things, we chose not to do that. And so we'll get a ton of great reps at some of those things schematically. That we need to make sure we get extra reps as we move into SEC play as well. But for us, there's a little bit of, you want to get a jump on your next opponent from a schematic standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. We'll get some of those things prepared. But also, if there are things that we are going to see in the next few weeks that we do not see in practice or we have not seen yet this season, we may use a walkthrough or a scout team period to probably get a jump on some of those things as well. Based off of schematics that we're going to see from our opponents maybe the next 3 to 4 weeks. So, you know, there's a number of different layers to how you handle a bye week and what you need to get done.
Jump to the left side with Chase.
Malachi Moore told us last week that you've been known to show the players some NFL clips just to show them how the certain things are done at the highest level, even some retired players apparently.
Yeah.
The question is, who are the couple of your favorite NFL players to put up on the screen?
Well, I don't know if I would say any one specific player. What we try to do is we give examples of great execution. We are very much an NFL-driven system from a schematic standpoint. You look at the top, really 3 coverages in the NFL in 2023, and you look at what we're doing primarily, those things match up. And so there's a lot of us being able to say same as, right, when Fred Warner for the 49ers, right, plays this zone coverage, this is what it looks like, and this is how we do it. And so we try to show those guys, great examples of, be it fundamentals or schematics, or what we call Bama fundamentals, which, for us is effort and finish, hard shoulder tackling, violent hands, and creating takeaways. And so I will give them examples of Bama fundamentals through the NFL, week in and week out. And we'll show them great examples of wherever we find it, whether it be in college or, the NFL, or, if I need to pull out some of my old tapes, you know what I mean, just show them how it's really supposed to look. I can do that too. I haven't done that yet, though. But
Stay on the left side, Tony.
Q's averaging a sack, I think, every 10 pass rushing attempts. Just what is he able to do? Or I guess, how have you seen him kind of come off the bench and provide that instant impact and without getting a ton of snaps throughout the game?
Yeah, I mean, that's a stat right there, to be able to create production for our defense and to be able to create some havoc. Q has really stepped up in some big moments in games. I think people that can take the ball away from a defensive standpoint, if you look at anybody in major college football, you look at anybody in the NFL, we had Vance Joseph came in and spoke to in our coaching clinic back in the springtime, and we brought him in and talked to him. They put such a premium and value within their organization on defensive players that can take the ball away, right? And so for him to be able to do that at the level that he's done over the first 3 games is certainly impressive. His level of commitment to this team, to his teammates, to working for the standard every single day. It's great to see people that do things at such a high level and meet the standard day in and day out at practice be rewarded on game day. So very proud of him.
Jump over the right side of Nick.
Yeah, you talked about showing a small volume of defense through the first 3 weeks. What is that like in terms of you deciding in the moment to, okay, let's not show this yet? Like, what is that kind of mental aspect for you like?
Yeah, it's there's a little bit of a challenge to that, right? You certainly want to make sure that you have everything prepared and the bullets that you're going to need in order to execute at a high level in the game. And yet at the same time, you have to recognize that the season is long. You want to have wrinkles that you can reveal at different points in the season. And I think that's something that we've always done a good job of schematically over the years. My dad always did a really good job of that, of showing wrinkles that would, based off of be it a game plan or be it things that we just didn't want to show, the evolution of how we maneuver through a season defensively. And so, for me, I think it's understanding what we need to do primarily to take things away from an access throws. If teams are trying to get easy access perimeter throws and you give them those things all day long, that can be an extension of their run game. And so you want to essentially find ways to establish stopping the run. Well, the run is also the RPO perimeter throws as well nowadays, right? And so finding ways to do those things, and then what complements can we give, be it, hey, we want to protect our corners a little bit. We don't want them to be in man coverage, so we're going to play a little cover 2. We're going to play a little cover 3. We're going to do some things to mix those things up. And then you certainly have your situational change-ups, third down, red zone, some things from a different perspective. But I can't say there's an exact science to it. There's a bit of an art to it. But it's conversations that we have series by series as a defense based off of what we want to run and what we want to be able to show going into that next series of plays.
Back left, Steven.
You highlighted him in fall camp, Coach, but against Wisconsin, what excited you the most about seeing LT Overton just take over that game up front?
Yeah, I think when you go back and you watch the tape, it's impressive to see how dominant LT was in that game. He continues to show up. He's a tremendous on-body rusher, as I've talked about, first and second down transition pass rush. Does a really great job in that regard. Very physical at the point of attack. There was a play where they tried to run a power concept when they were kind of backed up in their territory, and they ran power at him, and he really was dominating on 2 different blocks. He at the point of attack off of a tight end, and then somebody coming back across to be able to kick him out, and he kind of knocks that guy out too, and then makes the play in the backfield. So he just continues to show up from a level of physicality. He plays with a tremendous high motor, and he is very efficient and effective in terms of what we're doing schematically right now. So very pleased with LT, and excited to see what he will continue to grow and produce in our defense.
Coach, last week you spoke about the lack of turnovers and takeaways you were disappointed in. This week there was an uptick in that. What do you feel like clicked between last week and this week to allow for that success?
Well, I think good coaches get what they emphasize in practice, and if you have your player's ear, if you're able to communicate in a way that they can grasp and latch on to what you're saying, those things should show up in practice, and then those practice habits show up on game day. And I think our players did a really tremendous job. It's something that the players needed to understand. It was not acceptable, right, to not create takeaways, to not get the ball out. That's who we are as a defense. It's what we preach. It's one of our Bama fundamentals. It's an identity of who we are as a Swarm D. And so I thought they did a really tremendous job of taking ownership of that. And then, you know, one of the jobs of a coach is you cast vision for your players, but then your players have to accept, you know, some portion of that vision, and then you reinforce it day in and day out with relentless detail until they can actualize the vision for themselves. And what is happening on our team right now is you're seeing some of our older leaders that are helping these younger players actualize the vision by holding them accountable to those details, and then it's showing up in games. And so very, very pleased with a step in the right direction in terms of attempting to take the ball off of people.
We got time for 2 more questions. Let's start with Colin on the far left.
Having played in the SEC, having coached in the SEC and against SEC teams, what do you feel like, especially for those younger guys in your defense, what does it take over these next 2 weeks as you guys prepare to make that jump up to SEC play, to make them the most prepared? What's like the most difference that, you know, younger players can expect with that with that conference competition coming up?
I think, you know, I think for us, players have to continue to stay and work at their process. For us, you know, I talked about this at the beginning of the season in fall camp. Our younger players that are going to come out, right, experience is finite, and there's a number of players on our team that lack some of that experience because they just got here, they're freshmen. And so to take some of the experiences that they've had from Western Kentucky or South Florida or Wisconsin and apply that, right, to some of the things that they're going to see in the SEC is certainly critical, that they fix the mistakes of past and that they can sustain that correction throughout the season, because whatever you put on tape, teams are going to schematically and from a talent perspective find ways, matching up personnel to be able to expose those things that you put on tape. And so we've got to do a great job of being mindful of the things that we did not do well enough as older players, as younger players, and then be very focused throughout this bye week, and then each week make sure that we continue to remind our players and show them the things that have hurt us so that they don't hurt us again. And that's something that, you know, I spend a lot of time during the week of preparation on what we call self-scouting, right, where we scout ourselves, our own look, what hurt us, what did we get hit on, what are teams going to be able to see, so that I can anticipate how I'm going to be attacked, you know, from one week opponent to another week opponent. And that's varying and differing in the SEC from one week to another, but that's part of what, you know, a coordinator does, right, is you find ways to anticipate based off of your self-scout and who they are as an offense to protect your players so that they can go execute at a high level, and we certainly got to do that.
We'll wrap up with Alex right here.
Hate to end on a redundant note, but on LT Overton, Coach DeBoer really stressed how well he fits within the system.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could speak to that, and is there sort of an NFL comparison in terms of traits that you look for in that position specifically?
Well, the field defensive end is a very critical position, you know, for us. When you play a 3-4 nickel 4-2-5 scheme, you know, you really runs to the field. It's important that you have somebody that is a presence, right, when they want to build a 3-man surface, meaning that they want to have a tight end blocking scheme to the field side, being able to, you know, really dominate those one-on-one matchups on a tight end to make it hard to run in that C-B gap area to the field as well. And then their ability to transition pass rush, right? You have to have guys that are physical enough in the run, but on first and second down, before we can get maybe another personnel, a rush personnel group out there on the field that can transition pass rush. And that's why I talk about LT being such a great on-body rusher. He does a really great job of transitioning from a run fit to a pass responsibility. I don't know if you saw how I did that right there, but doesn't look as good as LT. But just to be able to transition pass rush and his ability to create havoc in the backfield on first and second down, I think is really important for us as a defense structurally. But even when you look at teams in the NFL, it's really the same it's really the same matchup. And there's a fine line of playing the run fit and then stopping the run on the way to the pass. And I think we're doing a really good job with both LT and Jamarian Latham from that field bandit position.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Okay, thanks, guys. Roll Tide.
We'll have Coach DeBoer begin with his opening statement, and we'll do questions. Coach.
You bet. Yeah. Good morning, or afternoon, I guess. All right. Appreciate you all being here, and it was a good weekend for us. Everything's a first, right? Going on the road was our first time together with our staff, and thought the guys did a nice job. I was happy, obviously, with the outcome, but also just the process and everything leading up to it, and how the weekend went. So I thought they had a great balance of high energy, passion, emotion, but not being over emotional, and having a business-like mindset, and going and just knowing that it was going to be you versus a great crowd there, and thought we did a nice job, just staying the course and made the plays, got the momentum on our side, especially there in the second quarter. The end of the half especially was a big deal, and I preach to the guys, keep playing, keep believing, and things will come your way. We're athletic enough, we got playmakers, and that's exactly what happened. Getting the stop, getting the field goal attempt, and flipping that around in 36 seconds or whatever it was, and getting some points and then doing it again. I thought that was a big piece of what we preach each and every day, and it happened. So some things I know you heard from the coordinators, but I think not having the special teams coordinator up here, I think one highlight also is just how James Burnham's been doing kicking the football. He's a game changer. He can flip the field really on any kick. We saw that again on Saturday, and just proud of the way he goes about it. He's just quiet, but man, when he hits the ball, it makes some noise, and I mean that in a lot of ways. And so it's fun seeing him do his thing at a high level. So I thought, as far as how we handled the environment and the noise, thought the offense did a nice job. Did a great job in the week of preparation. Felt like they were ready for whatever was thrown at them. I think the coordinators probably talked about some of the turnovers and takeaways, and how we were better there. Thought we were better on third down, solid in the red zone again. So a lot of those main things showed up. We were taking the next step, I think, this last week in from where we were at against South Florida. So always things from an execution standpoint to improve on, areas where a bye week is important to continue to address, continue to build our depth, develop guys, that we know we're going to need throughout the rest of the season.
Coach, start with Nick Kelly up front line.
Yeah, I'll ask two special teams questions. That's all right. Graham Nicholson, he got a chance to attempt his first field goal of the season this past game. What do you make of just his limited opportunities and making sure he's ready to go? And then second question, we saw Ryan Williams return a punt. Could we see some more of that potentially this season?
Yeah, with Graham, we've been scoring when we get in the red zone, getting the touchdowns. We haven't been in too many spots until Saturday where we had the field goal, 46-ish, I think, 47, somewhere in there. I think he hit it good. I think in pregame we felt like maybe there was a little bit of a breeze coming right to left, probably over-calculated that, and it wasn't something where I felt like, where I know we all feel like he mishit it or anything. We just got to do a better job of understanding, the direction or how much it's going to influence the kick. So, yeah, and that's part of being a kicker, right? Pregame, during the game, towards the end. I mean, it's going to change, and so each side of the field changes. I know he expects himself to make that. We expect him to make it. He's been solid all fall camp. In regards to Ryan, with the injury to Cole Adams, that was one guy taken off of that area, and our depth, and so Bach's been back there doing a good job with his opportunities, and we need to continue to build that. And just getting Ryan one rep out there, I thought was good. He did a nice job. Looked very comfortable back there. There's some other guys, Jeremy Bernard could do that as well. He's been working on it, not just this year, but in the past. And so we just want to make sure guys continue to get that one rep, feel comfortable. And there's always little things that pop up that guys can learn from. And there were some learning opportunities even with Bach, just staying away from the football. On one of the punts that was rolling. We got to do a better job there staying away. So everything is, again, new experience, especially for some of these younger guys, freshmen like Ryan and Bach, but they've done a really nice job so far.
On the right side with Charlie.
Yeah, hey, Coach, did you have any reaction or say anything to guys like Jeremy or any of the other players for what they said after the game about jump arounds?
Yeah, I didn't realize until yesterday, and actually Jerm did come in and he owned it. I didn't even bring it up to him. I didn't even know it happened until yesterday. Just he's a first-class guy, and the emotions and the excitement of the game and all that. Unfortunately, you sometimes say things you get asked to comment on, and he actually wanted to say something to the team. We want to be first class, and we slipped up a little bit there, and he addressed the team yesterday in our team meeting, and everyone knows who Jerm is and respect the heck out of him. So something like that is something. There was a great atmosphere. I mean, really, Wisconsin, the environment there was great. I think our guys enjoyed that transition there in between the third and the fourth quarter just as much as anyone. So nothing but respect for what the environment was and who they are as a program.
Far left, Chase.
Coach, how much did Jalen Milroe change protections pre-snap against Wisconsin, and where is he at in that part of developing his game?
Yep, good question. I'm trying to think through. I feel like there was, I think you get into the situations, probably the latter down at distances, third downs, when you see, the pressures, and I think he did a really solid job. There was one time, and it wouldn't fall necessarily on his lap, where there was a little bit of miscommunication across the board, or it didn't happen as fluid as smooth as you would like. I think we got to the point where we needed to by the time the ball was snapped, but just everyone being on the same page, and that's not just the offensive line and him; that's everyone. And so we could have done a better job across the board. But in regards to Jalen, we are continuing to ask more and more of him as he gets more comfortable with what we do, and we know that is going to need to be the case. Where he has full reign right now. He knows what the expectations are and what we really prefer him to be doing with the checks, and he's been really solid, and that's going to be important for us going into SEC play. We know that for sure.
Got the middle of the room here, Mike.
How have you seen Justice contribute to the offense, even in games where he's not getting a ton of carries like this one?
Who? Oh, Justice Haynes. Yeah. Right off the bat, getting him the ball. He can do a lot of things. Catching the ball. Ran through a tackle right off the bat, set the tone there. Some of the carries where he'd have been involved ended up being throws, RPO plays, run, keeps by the quarterback. And so all of a sudden you get to the middle of the third quarter and you hit another explosive there at the beginning of the fourth. And we're pulling all our guys. And, I know we need him to be really a very productive guy for us. And I thought when he was out there, he was exactly that. We trust and believe in him like no other. The guy works his tail off every single day. He's fun to coach. He's great in protection. He's out in the routes. He's obviously a huge threat when he's got the ball in his hands. And so, just sometimes the flow of the game and the rotation we have, the ball didn't end up in his hands as much, but the ball will continue to find him because I know Jalen believes in him. Our coaching staff believes in him. And so, you try to be intentional on some of that stuff. And sometimes it just doesn't go exactly how you planned as far as who gets the touches and so forth.
Left side, front row, Tony.
You have a great record in these marquee kind of matchups, and you got one coming up. Just what would you attribute to your success in these kind of games, and then how do you approach it with kind of a 2-week window right now?
Yeah, I mean, great players, great coaching staff around you is always what makes it all go. People who are comfortable, being alongside with you in these big games, in these big, getting SEC play. They're all going to be big, and so the players make plays, and it's our job to just continue to put them in the best spot, help them continue to gain confidence. Remind them that the preparation is what's going to lead to their success, and just a belief in what we do, how we do it. That's to me football. That's how you're successful in anything, and so that's what we'll do here with the bye week. Use a couple days here to just relax as far as like kind of decompress a little bit. 7 weeks now these guys have been going. I know it's only 3 games in the season, but they've been going for 7 weeks as of tomorrow when it comes to practices, and this little time here where they can take care of some school and kind of get caught up or just make sure they're on pace and working ahead even in those areas that are away from football. And knock that out so they can do what they love and not have any distractions. Thursday, Friday, we'll get back on the practice field, and Wednesday, we'll do some things as well. So, these guys need, the physical break as well. I think we're in an okay spot, when it comes to health, but you can always be better, and that's what a bye week gives you.
Stay in front row here, Joe.
Coach, going back to Jalen, the first touchdown pass to Ryan Williams, it looked like the exact same play as the miss in the first drive to Emmanuel Henderson. Mm-hmm. How indicative is that redo of Jalen Milroe's kind of growth this year out of what you've seen? Yeah, and on both of them, I thought he felt comfortable. He looked comfortable, I think, throughout the game because of our offensive line. It starts up front with the protection. And, I think he felt that he did a good job really reading the coverage, seeing where the safety help might be, and really hit it in rhythm. A little tighter coverage on the first one to E-Man, but Ryan had a step, and that was the difference. But I think even just kind of looking at the trajectory of the ball, and having to throw it a little flatter so that the help couldn't get there in time, but also not making it too flat to where you had a little room for error. I thought it was just a great throw. Hit him in stride. Ryan did his thing, secured it, and it was really fun, especially on a third down and long, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. So huge point in the game there for us to get the ball in the end zone and not just be something that's a 3 or 4 yard game, but a 30-plus yard explosive.
Back left, Steven.
You mentioned Burnham, Coach, at the start, but what does it do for your defense to have a guy that can consistently put the opponent in a rough position every time?
Yeah, I thought about just even that sequence. I believe we forced a punt right after that, or it was a takeaway maybe, and just how the field flipped, just with a few plays there, and James does that for you. As long as we give him what we need, from a protection standpoint, you're going to get a good snap with Nealon. He's rock solid, and James puts everything into it, all his energy and power into that kick, and technically he's just so sound and so consistent. So he's been that way all fall camp, and we got a lot of trust in him, and it's something our whole team, when he goes out there, they believe in him, and so it's a weapon to have. And as you said, it flips the script, and now the defense, with a little more field space to work with, can set the tone, especially when you get into those backed up situations. I think 3 times inside the 20-yard line is what James did as far as backing them up. So huge weapon for us.
Coach, I know you talked about it earlier, but going into a bye week, how do you approach an early bye week, and what are some of the things you want to see going into it with SEC play, obviously, next week?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good because I think every bye week is a little different. Early bye weeks, again, there has been 7 weeks of football that these guys have been kind of going as far as hitting each other, but it is early in the season still. For us, we'll take a few of these days here, like I said, just to let the coaching staff start working ahead on the schematics, game plan. There's obviously some recruiting. There's other parts of the program where the coaches focus their attention as well. But then from a player standpoint, just trying to get them, a little bit of a mental break here for a second. It's only a couple days, but let them be students here for a few days as well, just not just the athletic part. So, later on, you kind of adapt, even not just when you practice, but how long you practice. But we'll have some really good, solid practices here at the latter part of the week, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Gives us a jump on the next game with Georgia.
Emily Grace, right in the middle there.
Coach, you touched on it in your open about the decision to be so aggressive in the last 36 seconds of the first half. Can you elaborate more on that and what you and Coach Sheridan saw that led to that decision?
We had, 36 seconds. You got a field goal kicker you believe in, and I think 3 timeouts, if I remember right. So you got a lot working for you. We get any type of gain at all, and we're in bounds. We're gonna use the timeout there and see if we can get a first down or 2. And the guys just went out and made a play. Great time in the pocket. I know Jalen, I think, got hit a little bit as he was making the throw, but anticipation, I think you saw, not to break down the play, because I know that's not the question, but I think you saw a trust and anticipation in Jalen on that throw as Ryan is just taking off. The throw is being made. Good read of the defense, and Ryan doing his thing again. Set us up for another explosive. Germ's the first read on the play. There's other guys that I think were coming into windows that we could have hit as well. But it all started with protection on both those plays. And when you have confidence in the guys up front and protect your quarterback, and a quarterback that's going to make smart decisions, I've been overcoaching those probably early on with Jalen to take care of it in this situation or that. The more and more, it's just these little blurps that I'm giving him, and he's on the same page. And so that's part of the progression of us working together more and more, the progression of now you take that to the film room and talk about why we were aggressive in that moment, and then seeing it pay off. It just gives your team a lot of confidence, because the defense knows that anytime, if we just give the ball to the offense, whether it's off a takeaway and we have red zone, or 2-minute drill, just a lot of confidence that goes back and forth in playing good team football.
All right, we have time for one last question. Colin on the far left.
Hey, Kalen, two-parter if I could. First, you mentioned the pause. I'm curious with this bye week, how you've seen Ryan Williams kind of respond to what he's been able to do across these 7 weeks for you guys, and kind of how he should reflect and kind of move forward as SEC play starts out soon. And then do you have updates on the status of Quay Rousseau, Malachi Moore, and then Richard Young?
Yep. As far as Ryan, the thing that impresses me so much about him is the business-like mentality he has when it comes to football, but the way he's able to balance it with a personality that is just fun to be around. Loose when you have that time to be loose, It just happened, probably an hour ago, a chance to just be around him and smiling and enjoying being who he is, and then turn it into this, beast on the football field through these first 3 games. And, there's going to be ups and downs just like anyone for him that'll come. But I'm confident in his maturity, well beyond his years, being only 17. And, I don't feel like I'm pumping him up too much because I think he's getting the job done on the football field, and he's making it happen there. But it's fun seeing that balance and just, let him be him. That's what I want all our players to be. But he's a joy to be around because when he gets out on the football field, when he's in the weight room, man, there's a lot of focus. And I know he prioritizes things even like sleep. He's just really locked in on what needs to be done for him to be the best he can be. As far as injuries, Cole, again, this is a good time with the bye week. I would expect that here as we get to the latter part of the week, he's continuing to move forward. We can kind of see where he is. We won't push him too hard here. The end of the week with physicality and things like that, make him vulnerable. But I think, it's positive steps that we're seeing. Quay, with the evaluation of him, I think, again, the bye week's huge. I think he probably later in the week will, be able to do some things for us, and we'll certainly be careful with him. We don't want to have any setbacks, but I would feel like it's, a positive progression for him already here just in the last couple days. And who's the third one? Four of them. Malachi. He got obviously a hit to the head, blow to the head. He popped up and ran off the field, but I also know that there's a protocol we got to go through. And so a lot of positive signs there with him already here through these first couple of days. And again, we just got to go through that progression that needs to be done when it comes to those type of injuries. And Richard, I'm not sure on Richard a little bit. I think his, kind of got to continue to evaluate here, and can probably have some follow-up here maybe towards the end of the week.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Roll Tide.
Hey, fam, I'll take a quick commercial break, and I'll be right back on Bama Football on YouTube to close out. All right, fam. I appreciate you guys being here today, right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me on today's Monday show. I appreciate it so much for giving me your feedback. I mean, it was interesting to hear from the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. And again, I'll update those press conferences right here on Bama Football on YouTube, as well as Coach Kalen DeBoer. Things that Coach Sheridan hit on is the long drive from Wisconsin I thought this was interesting from when that 17-play drive was going on, and you're sitting there, with your offense, and you're trying to figure out what to do, and you come out and you go for a 3-and-out. How about it was great to hear all the positive comments on James Burnap, right? Even Coach Kalen DeBoer took a minute to highlight him before he was even asked about him. Love the comments from Coach Kane Wommack hyping up LT Overton and just the impressive play that he had. It's like listening to a head football coach, right? When you talk to Kane Wommack, it's like, you have a head coach one, and then you have, the main head coach after that with Coach Kalen DeBoer. Coach Kalen DeBoer talked about kind of the limited reps that Justice Haynes had, but still clearly a vital part. But I think the biggest takeaway is kind of listening to that injury report there at the back end of the press conference, talking about the health status of Quay. He was kind of vague on it, but it sounded like it was more positive for most of all the players, which is really good. I appreciate you guys being here during today's show, 2 hours and 30 minutes on your Monday. Remember, I upload. It's probably coming in really hot right now. I turn up the volume so you guys can hear Coach Kalen DeBoer a little bit better. But I upload bits and parts, kind of the best of, to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And, of course, you can just rewatch everything right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much to our super chatters. You guys, really help us, as well as our undefeated members right here. For only $2.99, you can support the product right here on Bama Football on YouTube. We do all the graphics in-house. I do everything everything you saw today is literally by me. So I'm always trying to better myself. And look, I promise you, I'm going to have the timestamps for those videos. All right. I did the timestamps too. So thank you so much for joining me today. Have a beautiful day. If you're going out to lunch, if you're enjoying yourself, to the rest of your day, have an amazing day. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time in the morning, or as news happens. Thank you so much for being here. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson. Bama Football on YouTube. Patriot Life with the buzzer beater. Super chat. Thank you so much, Patriot Life. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.